We're the place that takes these complicated stories, business sagas, legal twists, and really tries to boil them down for you.
And today, yeah, we've got a really fascinating one. It's got A-list celebrities, a big alcohol brand deal, and this just massive $400 million legal claim.
Right. It had all the makings of a Hollywood drama, didn't it? But the ending was, well, kind of an anticlimax. A whimper, not a bang, as they say.
Exactly. So we're diving into this huge countersuit. It was filed by Justin Baldoni. You probably know him from Jane the Virgin against Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and their companies, all over the Aviation Gin deal.
And the thing we really want to unpack for you is how does a jaw-dropping $400 million lawsuit just disappear? Poof, gone. Because somebody apparently missed a deadline.
Seems wild, right? So our mission here is to give you that shortcut, help you understand the background, the original deal, Baldoni's really aggressive legal move, and, maybe most importantly, why in high-stakes business law, sometimes the rules, the procedures, they matter more than anything else.
Okay, let's set the scene. First, the defendants. You got Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Hollywood royalty, obviously.
Yeah, but more than that, certainly in this context, Reynolds is seen as this, marketing genius, right? What he did with Aviation Gin it's legendary now.
Totally. It's a business school case study. And that brand, Aviation Gin's parent company, it eventually sold for, what, reportedly over $600 million?
Yeah, that's the number, yeah. A huge payout. That's kind of the backdrop, the big prize here.
But the story we need to focus on actually starts before all that, before Reynolds was the face of the brand.
Right. We need to bring in the challenger, Justin Baldoni. Actor, yes, but also CEO of Wayfarer Studios. He wasn't just watching from the sidelines.
No, according to the sources, his company was supposed to buy Aviation Gin way back, years before Reynolds.
This is key. We're talking about 2018. A contract existed back then for Baldoni's company, Wayfarer, to acquire Aviation Gin.
Okay, so Wayfarer had a deal. What happened?
Well, that deal fell through, and crucially, the sellers didn't just move on. They actually sued Baldoni and Wayfarer first.
Wait, hang on. The sellers sued Baldoni before Reynolds was even involved in this particular lawsuit.
That's right. The original lawsuit was the seller versus Baldoni.
Okay, what were they claiming?
Breach of contract. Basically, they alleged Baldoni and Wayfarer didn't close the deal like they were supposed to back in 2018. Maybe they backed out, maybe they couldn't get the financing, whatever it was. The sellers claimed it cost them before the Reynolds deal eventually happened.
Wow. So Baldoni was already on the defense, facing a lawsuit.
Exactly. He was in a tough spot. But his response, well, it was immediate and incredibly aggressive.
That response being the $400 million countersuit. And this wasn't against the original sellers, was it? This was aimed at the new owners.
Precisely. Against Reynolds, Lively, and their entities. And yeah, $400 million, that's not just legal paperwork. That's, like you said, a declaration of war, a financial one.
It feels like a nuclear option almost.
It really does. It's designed to put maximum pressure, financial, reputational, you name it, on those new owners. And the legal basis they used, it's called intentional interference with contractual relations.
Okay, that sounds dense, legal jargon.
Yeah.
For those of us listening who aren't lawyers, what does that actually mean in plain English? Intentional interference.
It's a high bar, a really high bar to prove in court. It's not enough to just say, hey, Reynolds Group bought the gin after my deal failed. No.
Right.
Baldoni's team had to argue that Reynolds, Lively, or their agents didn't just buy it later. They had to claim they knew about Baldoni's 2018 contract and then deliberately interfered with it, like actively convinced the sellers to break the contract with Baldoni so they could jump in.
Wow. So it's not just business is business better off for one, it's alleging actual, sabotage. Corporate sabotage.
Exactly. That's the core of the allegation. It paints Reynolds not just as a sharp businessman, but potentially as, predatory, someone who muscled out a smaller player.
That's quite the narrative. And putting $400 million on it suggests they thought they had proof. Like emails, memos?
You'd assume so. That kind of number implies you're ready to show the evidence of malice, of calculated interference. And the thought of that stuff becoming public, emails between celebrities, deal details?
Oh man, that would have been explosive. A really nasty public fight, like Hollywood business dirty laundry aired out for everyone.
Absolutely. One of the biggest celebrity corporate battles we could have imagined. Millions in legal fees, PR nightmares, before even seeing a courtroom.
Which makes the way it actually ended even stranger, right? All that potential drama, the huge sums, the big names. And none of it really mattered in the end.
And this is where the harsh reality of the legal system kicks in. The law loves its rules, its procedures. Filing a lawsuit is just the first step.
Yeah, it's not enough to just write down your $400 million complaint. You actually have to follow through, right? You have to actively pursue the case.
Exactly. And one of the very first absolutely critical steps is called service. You have to serve the legal documents on the defendants.
Serves them, like physically hand them the papers or make sure they officially get them.
Pretty much. You have to formally notify Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and the others that they're being sued. There are specific rules, and crucially, there's a deadline. Usually 90 days, maybe 120, depending on where the case is filed. The clock starts ticking the moment you file.
Okay, so it's like you've declared the duel, but if you don't actually deliver the challenge notice properly, the duel's off.
That's a good analogy, yeah. It sounds so basic, almost administrative.
It does, which is why it's so baffling. How does a legal team chasing $400 million miss that step? A fundamental deadline.
Well, that's exactly what happened. According to the court records, Baldoni and Wayfarer simply missed the deadline to formally serve the defendants. It's a major procedural error. The kind lawyers are trained specifically to avoid.
And the consequence. What happens when you miss that deadline?
The other side, Reynolds and Lively's lawyers, they don't even have to argue about whether sabotage happened or not. They just file a motion.
What kind of motion?
A motion to dismiss, based purely on this procedural failure. They basically say to the judge, look, they didn't follow the rules. They missed the deadline. Case closed.
And the judge agreed.
The judge agreed. The $400 million countersuit was dismissed.
Wow. Just like that. And there's a specific term here we need to remember, right? With prejudice.
Yes, that's critical. With prejudice. That means it's final. Done. Baldoni cannot refile this same $400 million claim against them ever again.
So the entire massive threat, all those explosive allegations, gone. Not because they weren't true necessarily, but because of a calendar mistake.
Essentially, yes. The size of the claim, the fame of the people involved, none of it mattered more than that procedural rule. It's a stark reminder.
Okay, it still feels weird. I mean, missing a deadline like that on such a huge case, it feels like there has to be more to it than just, oops, forgot to send the papers.
Oh, absolutely. It's highly unlikely it was simple negligence. Most legal observers assume this was, at some level, a strategic decision made somewhere along the line.
Right. So let's unpack the theories. What are people saying might have really happened here? Theory one seems to be, it was all a bluff.
This is a pretty common theory in litigation. The idea is the $400 million countersuit was never really meant to go to trial. It was a tactic.
A tactic for what?
Leverage. Remember, Baldoni was already being sued by the original seller. By launching this massive, high-profile countersuit against Reynolds and Lively, he dramatically raises the stakes for everyone involved in the gin deal.
Okay, so the thinking might be, make this new lawsuit so big, so potentially damaging PR-wise financially, that Reynolds' side would push for a settlement in that first lawsuit, or maybe even pay Baldoni just to make this whole mess go away quietly.
Exactly. It's using the countersuit as a bargaining chip. If that high-pressure tactic didn't work, if Reynolds' side called the bluff, then Baldoni's team faced a choice.
Spend millions actually trying to prove this really difficult claim.
Right. Proving intentional interference is tough. Or just let the service deadline quietly pass. Letting it die procedurally avoids enormous future legal costs and the risk of losing badly in court.
Okay, that makes sense. Which leads nicely into theory two.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't have the evidence.
This is also very plausible. Like we said, proving intentional interference requires showing malice, real deliberate wrongdoing, not just that a better deal came along.
So maybe as Baldoni's lawyers dug into it, did some initial investigation, they realized they didn't have the smoking gun. The emails, the proof.
It's possible. They might have found that, yeah, Reynolds got the deal, but maybe Baldoni's original deal had already genuinely collapsed for other reasons before any alleged interference could have happened.
And if you suspect you're going to lose on the facts, letting it die on a technicality is maybe less embarrassing, a quieter exit.
Definitely. It avoids a judge ruling against you on the merits, saying your claim has no basis. That kind of ruling could even potentially hurt Baldoni in the other lawsuit, the one where he's the defendant. So a procedural dismissal is cleaner.
Okay. And theory three is maybe less about legal strategy and more about, well, business reality, the sheer cost and distraction.
Absolutely. Think about it. Justin Baldoni is running Wayfarer Studios. He's a director, a producer, getting into a years-long public legal war with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, two of the most popular, media-savvy stars on the planet.
Yeah, it sounds draining and terrible for PR, potentially. Yeah. A huge distraction from his actual business.
Immense drain. Time, money, energy, reputation. So it's entirely possible that Baldoni or his team just made a calculated business decision. Even if we could win this, the fight itself isn't worth the cost. Letting the deadline lapse becomes a strategic retreat to focus on the core business.
So let's bring this back to you listening to this. What's the takeaway? What does this procedural ending actually mean for everyone involved?
Well, for Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, it's pretty straightforward. It's a clean win, total victory on this $400 million front.
Achieved without really having to fight the substance of the claim, right?
Exactly. The massive threat is just gone. Poof. It reinforces the idea that their acquisition of Aviation Gin was legally sound. They can basically say, see, the huge claim against us was dismissed.
Okay. But what about Justin Baldoni? He avoids the massive cost of fighting that countersuit, sure, but
But he's lost his biggest weapon. His leverage is significantly reduced. And this is really important to remember. He's not out of the woods legally.
right. Because that original lawsuit is still going. The one from the seller claiming he breached the 2018 contract.
That's still very much alive, yes. So Baldoni still has to defend himself in that case. But now he has to do it without the counterpressure of that $400 million suit hanging over the other side. His negotiating position is definitely weaker.
So the big lesson here, the kind of aha moment for anyone watching this,
Yeah,
it really comes down to that missed deadline, doesn't it?
it really does. It underscores how unforgiving the law can be about procedure. Doesn't matter how famous you are, how much money is involved, how compelling your story might seem. If you don't follow the basic rules, the deadlines,
Your case can just collapse.
the whole thing can collapse. The law is like a machine, and deadlines are the gears. Miss one, skip a step, and the machine grinds to a halt. It's a brutal lesson in the importance of details.
Time management in litigation isn't just a good idea, it's fundamental.
It's everything, really. The biggest case can be undone by the smallest procedural error. #outro.
It really is a remarkable story when you think about it. A potential $400 million legal battle with huge stars involved just evaporated because of paperwork and a calendar.
Yeah, ambition met adherence, and adherence won this round. And while that massive countersuit is definitely dead and buried, the original fight isn't over.
Right. Baldoni still has that first lawsuit to deal with. The question of whether he actually breached that 2018 contract is still on the table.
Exactly. Who was really responsible for that initial deal falling apart? Now that the huge $400 million distraction is gone, maybe we'll get closer to finding out the answer to that question. It's definitely something to think about.
Definitely food for thought, especially about meeting your own deadlines, perhaps on a slightly smaller scale. Thanks for joining us for this